GoGoBot, Travis Katz.
Thank you, everyone. It was 6 years ago at Phocuswright that we first unveiled our company, GoGoBot, which is why I'm so thrilled today to be unveiling our new brand, Trip.com. The mobile era is upon us. You've all heard the stats. More than 65% of media time is spent on mobile today in the US, and more than 85% of that time is spent in mobile apps. And while this transition was supposed to free us, to untether us, the reality for most travelers is that the experience is still frustrating and fragmented. Think about it. The average traveler, when they're planning a trip, may use one app to research a destination, another one to research flights, yet another one to book flights, another one to find a place to stay. They might open Google Maps to try and research the destination and figure out where they need to go, et cetera, et cetera. It is exhausting just thinking about that, let alone doing it. This is not what we were promised. This is why we created Trip.com. Trip.com works like a concierge in your pocket. We use personalization and artificial intelligence to engage the traveler throughout the travel life cycle, from research to planning to booking to actually in-trip. We offer smart, timely, relevant advice to essentially make the experience less work and more fun. I'm going to show you a quick video to show you what I'm talking about.
It starts with us, two people who need a change of scenery, plus a desire to go somewhere great, to get away. We have different styles, but there are two things we have in common. We know how to have fun together, and we love local, authentic, undiscovered places. We're looking for stuff that feels like, well, us. Trip.com shows us hotels that fit our style. And when we get up, Trip.com knows what time it is and shows us where to get coffee nearby. The good stuff. Trip.com gets that we love adventure and shows us where to get outside. But it's also right there when the weather has other plans. You see, Trip.com even knows when it's raining and automatically gives us alternatives to rescue our adventure from a rainy day, giving us the opportunity to be spontaneous. We tell it who we are, what we care about, and Trip.com does the rest. It's always a step ahead, factoring in the weather, time of day, and what's popular with our tribes. An app that does the thinking and planning for us, so we can focus on what really matters. Having an adventure together. Trip.com. Less work, more fun.
So, while most travel sites offer every traveler the same generic list of recommendations, at Trip.com, we offer personalized recommendations based on my tribes. What's a tribe, you ask? Well, think business travelers, foodies, luxury travelers. You tell Trip.com who you are, and we show you recommendations of hotels that fit your travel style. We let you, when you find a place you like, you can see the best prices from all the top booking engines and book it straight from the app. You can see who a hotel is popular with, and you can even read reviews from other like-minded travelers. But while most travel sites stop the journey there with the booking, like a concierge, Trip.com is with you every step of the way. We use predictive algorithms backed by our own artificial intelligence that factor in your tribes and your location, but also the weather, the time of day, the density of the city. Are you in an urban city versus a rural area? Whether you're at home in your own town or traveling. We take all this information and many other factors to offer smart, relevant recommendations to you exactly when you need them, so you don't have to do the thinking. For example, Trip.com knows when you're hungry. Imagine you did a long flight into LA from Asia and you get to your hotel in the morning. Trip.com knows that it's morning time, knows you're probably hungry, and recommends great places to grab breakfast or coffee within walking distance of the hotel where you're staying. And if you came in from New York in the evening, Trip.com is smart enough to know that. We automatically know it's evening. The first thing you'll see is recommendations for dinner near your hotel with restaurants that suit your budget and travel style. If you find something that you like, we even make it easy with the click of a button to reserve a table through our integration with OpenTable. And like you saw in the video, Trip.com knows what the weather's like where you're standing. So if you wake up on a sunny day in LA, Trip.com will give you recommendations automatically for what to do outside, like the Greystone Mansion or the Santa Monica Pier. We'll even let you book tickets through our integration with Get Your Guide. But if the weather has other plans when you wake up, Trip.com is there for you. You don't have to think about it. You'll wake up to a push notification on your phone letting you know it's going to be raining today. And Trip.com automatically recommends things to do indoors to make sure you can still make the most of your day without skipping a beat. When you find a place you like, you can, of course, call them, you can get directions, and we can even use Trip.com to find restaurants nearby so you can plan where you're going to grab lunch in between. It's that smart. So quickly about Trip.com, we've had more than 55 million travelers use our product to date. We're backed by Expedia and top-tier venture capitalists from Silicon Valley. We're one of the largest sources of travel content on the web, with millions of reviews and photos covering 66,000 destinations. We've been named Editor's Choice.
Thank you very much, Travis. Well done. Over to you, Chaitan.
Thank you, Pete. Focus group, thumbs up, down. Oh, that's a lot of love. Let's begin with here.
Kudos to the traction, the backing, the backers. They've created an ecosystem that's apparently working. The other word I think of is Google and the inherent competition that exists there.
What do you think about the name, considering it's still a mobile app? .com, mobile app. Does that work?
I think the name is brilliant, and congratulations on a big ballsy move there. Google won't do it as well as this. Google don't have the travel expertise, but Google have a monopoly. And, you know, this is the perfect target for a Google acquisition if they execute well.
Well, you know, Bobby is the CTO, so I let him comment on the brand. But what I think is that the underlying data, I think, is the interesting bit, having actually probably 55 million visitors that tell you who they are and what they do must be a powerful backend and powerful data opportunity to create the service. The other thing I really like about this is that it doesn't solve everything, it just gives you suggestions, and I think that's important. It just lets you also be a traveler and experience in your own time what you want to do.
You had a thumbs up.
Yeah, so I think obviously a cool idea, but I think meta search alone is tough. Personalized concierge is tough. They're trying to do everything at once. I'm not sure it will succeed.
Relative to the name, I recall that name from my Travelport days, so I don't know if they bought it or whatever. But I guess my only concern with this, I think it's great, but my only concern is, it's more of a question is, can I change my persona depending upon my reason for travel? Because I might have different interests, and if it's locked in, then you might be serving me up some content that is really not appropriate for the type of trip that I'm actually taking that particular time.
I definitely think from a branding standpoint, you know, at least today, .com is still relevant. It's, you know, a starting point for a lot of travelers, and certainly more relevant than Gogobot. From an experience standpoint, I think, you know, again, we mentioned Google Travel. I think the space that TripAdvisor is getting into in terms of serving contextually relevant recommendations, you know, there's room for someone else, and it seems like their execution is pretty strong.
There are similar apps out there. Triposo comes to mind. What do you think Trip.com needs to do to scale further beyond the 55 million? Any thoughts around that?
They already have a pedigree set of backers, so that's part of the answer. But I did want to make one other comment. I thought the ability to change the face of what you look at is very important. Your capability to both have the selection, but to change how you want to look at that selection, whether it's business or leisure. I thought they were very insightful.
Thank you, focus group.